welcome and or welcome back to my channel. I'm Em and happy June 1st, happy Pride Month, happy Clear Your Shit Month. It's just, I've been looking forward to June for so long, basically since the beginning of May. Just been looking forward to June. This month also feels like the start of summer reading for me, and so I'm so excited. This vlog is just going to be a little weekly vlog and going through the first two prompts for Clear Your Shit. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, I will link all the relevant things down below, but Clear Your Shit is a month-long readathon where the goal is to read down your physical TBR. The main readathon is in November and December. June is just like a little mini readathon. So it's a great way, if you haven't done it before, to just kind of like jump in, try it out, see what you think. I've been doing a really bad job of reading from my own shelves this year so far, and I really need this to focus on what I got for a little bit, you know? So let's go over the TBR for this week. So the very first prompt for this month is to read the book you most recently hauled, and that is The Night and the Moth by Rachel Gillig. I have read the One Dark Window duology and I absolutely loved it, and I'm really excited to dive into this. I've kind of been saving it for this month. Oh, it's so pretty. Anyways, so excited. I don't really know what this is about. I don't really care. It doesn't really matter to me. I'm going to read it regardless because I love Rachel Gillig. And then the second prompt is to read a book that was gifted to you. And for that one, I am reading Norm Porn by Karen Tongson. This is nonfiction about queer viewers and the TV that soothes us. Sounds pretty applicable for the beginning of Pride Month. I did start it last night, got a little head start, and I'm about 30 pages in, and this is a deep dive into mid-2000s TV shows that were really made to appeal to white, affluent, liberal, heteronormative viewers, but end up having quite a big queer viewer audience, and the reason why queer people are drawn to TV shows like that. So right now I'm in the chapter that's talking about 30 Something, which is a show I've never heard of before. So that's interesting. I love books about pop culture and how it affects us or its influence on day-to-day lives and the zeitgeist and such. And I think this is going to fit into that pretty well. I don't know how in-depth I'll talk about this during this vlog. The focus is definitely going to be The Night and the Moth. So I hope you enjoyed this vlog. It is currently Sunday. My kids have been in a production of Shrek Jr. Today is the final performance. So I have about an hour before I need to head over to the theater because I'm going to go watch the final one, and I'm really looking forward to watching it. I think everybody is really tired today, so I think they're definitely happy that it's almost over, but also sad because it's been a ton of fun for them to do and a ton of fun to go and watch. So I'm going to sit down and I'm going to try and get a little bit of reading done before I need to go see the show. It's Monday morning. I have to go to work in a little bit, but I'm taking it kind of slow this morning to catch up on some stuff I let slide last week while I was painting the living room. And if you want to see that process, I did this in my Ketchup and Pickles vlog, which I'll link down below. But it's so pretty now. Anyways, I'm taking some time to catch up on some chores and just to slowly ease back into the work week. And I'm about 50 pages into The Night and the Moth. So I thought I'd talk to you about the setup before I kind of forget what the initial setup was. So we're meeting Sybil, but when we meet Sybil, we don't learn her name. She introduces herself as 6, and she was a foundling, and she and 5 other foundling girls live at this abbey or a cathedral, and they are taken care of by an abbess, I think is where I got that. Anyways, in this world, in this abbey, there is this spring of water that can be prophetic, and well, is prophetic. Foundling girls are taken into this cathedral, and they are train to be diviners and live there for 10 years, and they receive room, board, food, education in exchange for being diviners. And they aren't given their name, they aren't given names, or they have names because obviously like they are given names when they are born, but their names are replaced with their numbers, and they wear shrouds, and they are kept separate from the rest of the world and really raised in isolation and live in isolation with only each other and the abbess and these really delightful gargoyles that live in the cathedral as well. Really, the gargoyles had me from the get-go. I'm a sucker for a gargoyle. I don't know why, but like in fantasy, if there's a talking gargoyle, I'm all in. I just love it. They're always so sassy and like kind of grumpy and sarcastic, and it's just one of my favorite things when I find it in a fantasy book. And the old king has recently died, and the new king is very, very young, and he is coming to the cathedral to have his fortune told so he can know whether or not the omens, the fates, are going to smile upon him. And in his revenue, is that the right word? That comes to the cathedral, it's a bunch of knights, but one of them is a knight named Roderick, and he and Sybil interact as they are arriving at the abbey, and it does not go well. He is heretical, harsh, rude, and brings up all the like confrontational parts of Sybil's personality, so they get very much off to the wrong foot. But I find this world very interesting so far. I like Sybil's voice. She's narrating in first person, and I love that Roderick, first of all, I don't love that name. He introduces himself as Roderick, and then he gives his nickname, which is Rory. And I don't know if I'm on board for a hero named Rory, but you know, that's what I got. So hopefully I will get over my dislike for the naming choices. But he is so emo, no one understands me, goth boy coded, and I really love it. Like, he has longer hair, it's dark, he puts charcoal around his eyes in the morning, and yes, goth fantasy boy. I'm kind of here for it. So I'm having a good time. I haven't gotten to the main plot, like what is mentioned in the last little paragraph of the synopsis. It's just been set up, getting to know the characters, getting to know the world. There's a little bit of like info dumpy world building stuff, but I think done in a like the most practical way you can do it, where somebody is teaching somebody else or giving them like a lesson on things that they don't know. And that's really my preferred way. If we're going to info dump, that's my preferred way to get the information, because it feels the least amount of not wasting my time, because I don't think world building is wasting my time or info dumping. Like, sometimes it's necessary. So like I don't hate world info dumping, but if I'm gonna get it, I prefer to have it in like that teaching capacity where one character is instructing another. And I forgot where I was going with that sentence. Anyways, I'm liking the world building. I'm liking the characters so far. I really like Sybil. I like her relationship with the 5 other girls that are diviners, and I'm just interested to know more. And I really like the antagonism between Sybil and Roderick so far. I did start listening to this on audio because I have the ALC from Libro.fm, but I don't love the narrator. Not that she's doing anything wrong, like, or bad, or like it's not a good narration. It just isn't matching. The way she was reading the story was not matching how my brain wanted to read the story. So I've opted to just read it with my eyeballs, I think, which means I'll read a little bit slower, but I think that's okay. I think I read One Dark Window and Two Twisted Crowns physically as well. I don't think I read the audiobook for those two. At least One Dark Window, because I read an arc. So I read that. I had to read that physically. Anyways, I'm going to sit down. I'm going to read a little bit more. I have finished the first chapter of Norm Porn, talking about 30-something. And I think everything Karen Tongson had to say was interesting, but because I don't have any familiarity with 30-something, I'd never even heard of it before I picked up this book, because I was too young to watch it when it was on, and it wasn't one that my parents ever watched, so it wasn't one I could watch, like get a secondary viewing of because of my parents watching it, if that makes sense. Friends, I was technically a little young for when it first started airing, but because my parents watched it, I ended up watching a lot of it, even though I wasn't the target audience for it by any means. But I think it's interesting how she ties 30-something and what the show was doing and what the creator said about the show to what was going on politically at the time and what her experience was in the show with the show, because she was watching it when she was in high school, but she was still pretty closeted, and just I think the influence that watching super heteronormative shows have on young queer viewers who are trying to figure out what their life is going to look like as a queer person when you don't have any queer adults around you to model what your life can be like. I think that's very interesting. So the chapter 2 is about alternatives and talking about television in the 1990s. And so I think this will be more of a broader scope than the narrower one we had on a specific TV show. And then chapter 3 is about True Blood, which I also have not watched. So I might have to like educate myself on some TV shows that I missed in the moment. All right, I gotta stop yapping, otherwise I'm not gonna have time to read. All right, friends, it is Wednesday. I did not update you yesterday, but I did do a fair bit of reading for The Night and the Moth. Oops, a little over 200 pages in, and let me tell you, what I forgot to mention about Roderick, I cannot call him Rory. I'm sorry, I cannot take an emo night man seriously if he's named Rory, so I'm calling him Roderick. And I will unpack what that means about my snobbery on my own time, okay? What I forgot to tell you, in addition to wearing eyeliner, he also has like 3 earrings on, I can't remember if it's cuff of his ear or his ear lip. Either way, he's got his ears pierced, so further proof that this is a emo man, and I am still into it, of course. And I also need you to know that the gargoyle is a very big part of this book, and I love it because it adds this sense of ridiculousness to what I think is supposed to be like a very gothic, very atmospheric book. But then we have this gargoyle who is always adding a little bit of chaos to the situation, like always says very common sayings wrong. So my downfall also with the gargoyle is that he is described as being bat-like, with like a bat-shaped face. He has wings that are bat-like, and he has arms and he has legs and he has feet because he walks around and he moves. However, my brain is constantly picturing the gargoyles from the Hunchback of Notre Dame. This is not the vibe that Rachel Gillig is going for. I know it's not, but alas, that is what my brain is picturing. But I'm having such a fun time. So I just watched the other day Kayla's Books and Lala's wrap up, and she read The Night and the Moth and she gave it a 3-star. And in her review, she said that she felt like Sybil didn't have a personality. And on the one hand, I can kind of see what she's saying. Like, I get it. On the other hand, I think if you are raised the way Sybil was raised in this cathedral, divining these omens for people, and I don't know if I mentioned it, but the way these girls see the omens for people is they are drowned in this spring in the cathedral every time, and it's painful, and there are actually drowning, seeing these visions, and then being brought back by the abbess. I guess I don't mind that Sybil feels like a blank slate, because I think in response to having a childhood and an adolescence where you are drowning sometimes multiple times a day, and it makes you feel sick afterwards, and then you are constantly striving for approval, for affection. Like, this is not a normal childhood that these foundling girls are given in this cathedral. And so how would you, I don't know how you would have a personality, or because so much of your personality is life experiences and relationships and your interests and your hobbies, and they all funnel in to create the person you are. And if you're growing up in this kind of life and you don't have a hobby, you don't have interests that you have discovered for yourself, and the only things that you do are the things that you are told to do. All that to say is I'm really liking Sybil, and I'm really liking Roderick. I'm liking all the characters so much. I'm wondering a little bit where we're going at a little over halfway, because the plot in the synopsis is that, you know, these diviner girls, the 6 of them, the other 5 go missing, and then Sybil runs away from the cathedral in order to find the missing girls. And I feel like she's still thinking of them, and like that is her end goal, is to find them. But I feel like the plot has branched off from that a little bit, and we're focusing on other things, which is fine. I'm having fun with the other things that we're focusing on. I'm liking the relationships that Sybil is building with the other people in this book. I'm liking the more we're learning about the world and the way its omens work and how everybody is connected, and this like greater plot that's going on in the kingdom with the king and the knights that's separate from Sybil's quest to find the missing diviners. Having a good time. I don't think it's going to be a 5. It's feeling like it's going to be solidly in the 4-star range somewhere, which is totally fine. One Dark Window was only like a 4 or 4 only, was like a 4 or 4.25, and Two Twisted Crowns is the one that I absolutely adore. That was the 5-star book. So I'm kind of expecting this to be similar, where it's maybe not a 5-star favorite, but I bet book 2 or book 3, however many books we're getting in this series, I bet the next book will be a 5-star, because I think that's where Rachel Gillick really shines, is in the second book when she's settled into the world building and we get to expand. So I'm looking forward to that. But in the meantime, still really enjoying this, even if my own brain is maybe getting in the way of the vibe that I'm supposed to be experiencing in this book. I'm hoping to finish it. I mean, tomorrow would be ideal, maybe Friday at the latest. It is the last week of school, and so we have 5 million activities between today and Friday. So we're definitely in that mad scramble of all these things need to get done, all these events need to happen, all the final choir concerts, the final end of the year celebrations, all the things need to happen. So wish me luck with that. Okay, hopefully you can't see how messy the bed is. One of my kids is homesick with a cold today and slept in my bed last night, so I had to wash all the sheets, and then is using my bed as a nest. Anyways, it's just chaos over here, as you would expect. But I did finish Norm Porn yesterday, and I'm gonna give it a 4.25. I don't even know what more I would have liked in this. It is a pretty small sample size. Karen Tongson only talks about 4 shows, and I've only watched one of them, so it didn't have maybe the resonance that I was looking for, because I definitely enjoyed the Gilmore Girls chapter the most, because obviously I'm super familiar with Gilmore Girls. I watched it as it was airing, because I think I am 2 years younger, or maybe 1 year younger than Rory in the TV show, like as it was coming out. Like I think the year the first season aired, she's 16 in the show, and I think I was 15. So I very much went through my teen years with Gilmore Girls. So it's a very, that show resonates a lot with me. She talked about 30-somethings, Gilmore Girls, True Blood, and This Is Us. I did find This Is Us, like out of the chapters about shows that I'm not familiar with, I did find This Is Us to be the most interesting of the chapters, and I really liked her insights, what she had to say about each of these shows. It is a very academic type book, which is what I wanted. I knew it was going to be academic. I think I wanted a more clear-cut, this is why this type of TV show appeals to a queer audience, but humans are not clear-cut, so that was probably an unrealistic expectation. There were a couple of quotes that I really loved though, so I want to find them. I did find it interesting, her in Gilmore Girls, this isn't the quote, but in Gilmore Girls she's talking about how for a show that has so much to do with pregnancy and child rearing and teen pregnancy, that Gilmore Girls is feminism kind of falls apart when it comes to abortion or any type of birth control. It's like hardly ever mentioned. And I heard about this book because Karen Tongson was on an episode of Material Girls, which is a academic pop culture podcast where it takes like each episode takes one specific movie, TV show, book, whatever, and then pairs it with an academically minded thing. And they talk about how that piece of media was zeitgeisty and why and what led to that. And I love it. It's such a good podcast. And she was on this, and I believe they were talking about Gilmore Girls, but it's been a while, so I'd have to go back and look. And they did talk about Gilmore Girls' very apparent unwillingness to talk about birth control or abortion. Like it's never an option for these women who get pregnant and maybe don't want to be pregnant. So I thought that was interesting, as always, to hear that conversation or to read that conversation or critique or whatever. Okay, so there is like an interstitial chapter where she's talking about alternatives, norm porn in general. And there's one paragraph that I really liked, and I'm just going to read it, so bear with me. What is normal then? And the standards for normalcy made available to us at any given historical moment don't remain the same across time, hence all the hullabaloo about a new normal every 5 years or so. This makes it difficult to argue that what is pituitively, it's a new word for me, queer is simply something that is apparent and abnormal because the normal, like late capitalism itself, is cravenly adaptable and adept at tapping into our desires. I thought about that for a while. And then on the following page, she goes on to say, norms are adaptable and absorptive, so framing them as stable fails to capture the nuances of the interplay between the purportedly anarchaic with what is expected and even produced by certain perfectly acceptable bourgeois aesthetic norms. I also thought about that for a minute. So like I said, very academic book. I did really like it and I got a lot out of it and I liked a lot of the points that she had to make. I'm still coming to terms with what queerness means for me. I came out a lot later in life. It took me a long time to realize it's some things that I probably should have realized a lot earlier, but you know, I got there when I got there. So there's a lot of stuff I'm still coming to terms with and trying to find where I slot in and like how the stuff I consumed, how the media I consumed growing up influenced how repressed I was about my own identity for such a long time. So anyway, and also in case you're curious, I'm bi and I'm ace. So there's a lot to unpack. I realized I was bi probably in my mid-20s. And I didn't come out as ace until like 5 years ago. So it's been a journey. Just further proof that it's never too late to come out. I thought this was interesting. I don't know that I would really recommend this to anybody because this is a super niche topic for me, a super niche interest. But I don't know, if this is also a super niche interest for you, like I definitely recommend it because I thought it was interesting. And maybe listen to that episode of Material Girls first to see if you like what they have to say there before reading this, but I highly recommend Material Girls. It's a fantastic podcast. All right, I have to scamper back to work here shortly, and then my twins have their last choir concert of the school year, but I'm really hoping I'm going to finish The Night and the Moth tomorrow, which is Friday. So it's taken me basically this whole vlog to read that book, but I'm having such a good time. It turned a corner for me, I think last night, now that I'm down to like the last 100 pages, and I think it's going to be like go, 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 go. And also the romance stepped it up a notch. And I just love how Rachel Gillig writes a romance. It makes me so happy. So hopefully the next time I see you, it will be to tell you that I finished The Night and the Moth. And we'll find out what my rating is because I have no idea. finished. I'm not sure. That book. Okay, where do I start? I will say, I just finished this book 5 minutes ago, and I am very much an endings reader, and I didn't like the ending. So that is definitely coloring how I'm feeling about the whole book. And I don't know if it will, in hindsight, like as time passes and I think back on this book, I don't know if how I feel because of the ending will influence my entire memory of reading the book, or if certain other parts will pop out at me more. But I didn't like the ending. I was really digging the romance up until a point, and like 75% of the way through. And then their relationship dynamic shifted because they fell in love, obviously. And I think Sybil was fine. I didn't like who Rory became once they were in love. Not that he got jealous or possessive, like it was nothing bad. It's actually like a very sweet romance in a very harsh world, but I just didn't, there were just things that he did, the way their dynamic shifted, I didn't love as much. And I think part of it is they were so fun when they bugged each other a little bit. Like they were so fun when they were fighting, even when they were getting along, just when they would disagree about what needed to happen next, the push and pull was so fun that once that went away, I wasn't having as much fun. So I didn't love this the way I loved what is that duology called? The Shepherd King duology. And I'm so bummed because I know so many people have given this 5 stars, and I thought I was gonna give this 5 stars. The gargoyle continues to be the highlight of the book. The gargoyle was far and away absolutely my most favorite character in the book. He was so sweet, so funny, like added some really great levity to pretty much every scene that he was in. Oh, I don't know. I mean, I'm going to read the rest of the series. Of course I will. I love Rachel Gillig. I didn't love this one in the way that I loved the Shepherd King duology. And kind of going back to what I was saying about Sybil being a little bit of a blank slate, that did start to bother me towards the end of the book. Like as the stakes are being lifted, as she's having all these real life experiences, as she's falling in love, as she's making friends, like I wanted there to be more personality or talk of her having more personality now that she's gotten out of the situation that she was in. I don't know. I don't feel like I can give it a 4 because I gave One Dark Window a 4, and I don't like it as much as I liked One Dark Window, which I think makes it like a 3.75, which is not what I wanted. But I did like in the middle, like the beginning until maybe like here. I mean, that's a big chunk of the book. I was having a fun time. It was entertaining. I was riveted. Time would fly while I was reading, which is really what I want when I pick up a book. I would start reading. At some point I would look up and maybe like 45 minutes or an hour had passed, and it had felt like I had just picked up the book, which that is always what I want from my reading life. And I really appreciate that Rachel Gillig routinely gives me that experience when I pick up one of her books. It's just so sad. I'm so sad it's not a 5 or a 4.5. I thought for a while it was going to be a 4.5, but y'all, I really didn't like that ending. I will definitely continue on with the series as more books come out. I'm really hoping that I'll like book 2 even better, but we'll see. Before we go, because I think we are going to close out this vlog because it's Friday and I finished all my Clearing My Shit books. Love that for me. I did get my Aardvark Club box, and if you watched my TBR for June, I'm on a book buying ban, and this is the only book I am allowed to buy for myself in June. Though I may amend that to it being like a no new books. Like I could still buy trophy books. I just can't add new books to my TBR. This month I picked The Starving Saints by Caitlin Starling. I am so excited for this book. I've been hearing really great things about it. I've read The Luminous Dead by Caitlin Starling and I really loved it, but I haven't read anything else by her. Aardvark had this beautiful special edition. I love this so much. Oh my gosh. Anyways, I'm really excited about this. It's supposed to be about cannibal nuns, medieval horror. Yeah, I think this will be a good time. I think I'm gonna really enjoy reading this book. So I'm so excited to get to it. Now we'll just have to see if I read it this month or if I save it for Summerween in July. We're gonna go ahead and end the vlog here. First week of Clearursht done, and I've read 2 books off of my TBR. Now granted, these were 2 of my most recently acquired books, so hopefully next week I will pick something that has been on my TBR a little bit longer, because reading the new books isn't necessarily the problem. The problem is reading the things that have been on here for a minute. These are both, well, this one was, well, yeah, they're both okay. They're both pretty okay. They're both good. I'm glad I read them. If you have made it to the end of this vlog, thank you so much for watching and spending your precious time with me. I really appreciate it. If you would like to leave a comment, oh, please tell me if you have read The Night and the Moth and what your thoughts are. I'd love to hear them. I feel so bad that it's not a 5-star, and I hope I'm not alone, but also, like, why couldn't it have been a 5-star? If you want to just leave an emoji to let me know you're here, let's leave a TV emoji. Oh, please. Is that a thing? Yeah, there's a TV emoji. Okay, leave that, and like if you liked it, subscribe if you want to, and I'll talk to y'all in the next one. Bye.